Hi, this is the lesson number 30 in this series of British literature. So we are discussing the age of revival, the age of reformation, and during this age there were several writers. So it was the age of the King Henry the 7th and Henry the 8th prominently. And so previously we discussed Erasmus. So now we have another writer, his friend. I mentioned his name, that is Sir Thomas More. Sir Thomas More. And his lifespan goes from 1478 to 1535. And by profession he was a Catholic priest, okay, and he was a English lawyer, social philosopher, Renaissance humanist, and statesman. And the Catholic Church venerated him as Sir Thomas More. So the Church gave him the title of Sir. You might see that with some of the writers we use this word Sir, like Sir Geoffrey Chaucer. So now we have Sir Thomas More. So Church gave him this title, and he was a counselor to the King Henry the 8th and Lord High Chancellor of England, 1529 to 1532. So he was somewhere giving services to the King Henry the 8th. And now being the follower of the Catholicism, he was against the Protestant Reformation. So when you see that he was against this Protestant Reformation, we can assume that he was belonging or he was following the Catholicism. And when we say that he is following the Catholicism, we can also conclude that he was not favoring the Act of Supremacy. Why? Because the Act of Supremacy, that act brought by the King Henry the 8th, was against the Catholicism or the Catholic practices, because Catholicism consider the Pope in the Roman Church is the head of all the other churches across the all other world or Europe entirely, you can say. But the Act of Supremacy brought king as the head of the church in England, especially because Henry the 8th brought this act and he was the king of England. And so now you see that he was earlier giving services to the King Henry the 8th up to 1532. But when in 1533 or 34, when the king brought this Act of Supremacy, Sir Thomas More turned against the king. So this is point to be acknowledged, that why he turned against the king, because the king was turning against the Catholic practices or Catholicism. So that is why he also turned against the king. And one more fact we can add, that Sir Thomas More was against the marriage of Henry the 8th and Anne Boleyn, his second wife, and he was also against the annulling of Catherine, means the king left her, divorced her, or got separated away from her. And later, or during that period, 1533-34, he refused to accept the king as the head of the church, the Anglican church, and he did not take the oath, as you see that most of the priests used to take that oath that they will be loyal to the head of the church or they will be loyal to the king. So at that time Sir Thomas More refused that. He will not be loyal, or he will no longer has his faith in the King Henry the 8th, and that is why he was convicted with the treason. He was convicted with the treason and later he was beheaded. So the King Henry the 8th gave the order of his execution. Before dying, Sir Thomas More said that I die king's good servant, but God's first. So he acknowledged himself as the servant of the king, but he said that firstly he is the servant of the God. I die the king's good servant, but God's first. So that's about the personal life of Sir Thomas More and his personal views and approaches in the life. Now we have the most important work, quite famous work, that is Utopia. Utopia. With Sir Thomas More, you one thing have to now acknowledge that he wrote in Latin. So this work, Utopia, is written in Latin and later it was translated into English. And now about Utopia, it was written in 1516. 1516. And what is Utopia? You can search this term on Google. Utopia, utopian scheme, means something which is nowhere existing in this world or hardly would exist in the world. And this is about the political system of an imaginary but ideal island nation. So the name of that nation or imaginary nation is Utopia. So this work has two parts. The part one is about the conversation between Sir Thomas More and there is a person, Raphael Hythlodius. So a bit typical name, Raphael Hythlodius. And when they converse or they had conversation, when they met at a place called Antwerp. And part 2. This part contains Hythlodius' views and his discourse on the institutional practices and the system, all the administrative work, how it goes in the land Utopia. So this work Utopia, so first we go to the title. The title is derived from the Greek prefix Utopia. So O, the prefix O means not, and topos, the other means Greek term is topos, means place. So no place. So Utopia means there is no such place existing in this world. So now we go into the book first. So what are the things, what are the important facts we have in this book first? Book first discuss the faulty government of England and Europe in 16th century. How the corruption was there and how the things were disturbed all over the Europe and of course in England. And in this there are abuses, corruption and everything you see whichever is there in the corrupt country. Henry VIII sends Thomas More to Flanders. So Flanders is a place in Belgium for a diplomatic mission, and where he met Peter Giles or Giles, however you pronounce this word. He is the town clerk of the Antwerp. So I told you that the name of the place. So in the beginning, Henry VIII, the king, has sent Thomas More to Flanders, a place for a diplomatic mission. So he is in services. You remember this fact that he was earlier giving services to the king. And there, Peter, the person he met, he introduced him to a person named Raphael Hythlodius. So this is a Greek name, Raphael Hythlodius. He is a Portuguese seaman. Okay, name is Greek, but by nationality he is a Portuguese seaman. So now, okay, with the Raphael Hythlodius, what is the meaning of this term or these words in Greek? It is taken as the speaker of nonsense. One may ask you, Raphael Hythlodius, this name represents or is equivalent in English from Greek term is the speaker of nonsense. So Raphael has been traveling with Amerigo Vespucci. Okay, another name, Amerigo Vespucci, an Italian explorer. So one more nationality we have now, Italian explorer. So Raphael and Amerigo discovered an island called Utopia. So now we reach to the point that these two persons, they had discovered a place called island Utopia. So this is about the beginning of this work. Now, about this place, Utopia, it is said that it is a perfect place, ideal society, with the people, all people are living in harmony. There is no corruption. This is the perfect example of a socialist society. So now we have the conversation between Hythlodaeus and Sir Thomas More. So Hythlodaeus is expressing his views and saying that he never gives advice to the king or anyone, means who is in the charge, who is in the power. He is not giving his advices or services. He has two reasons for this. The first, that it would interfere with his freedom as the king, because if he is giving advice to the king, that it will be bringing some sort of obstacle in the freedom of the king. So he thinks that he should not do so. And he also says that kings are so much in corruption, and they would not let him speak freely. So when you see that kings are with so much, or the man in power, he is so much into the corruption, that how would he let someone speak against him? So that is why he says that there is no use of giving advices to the king. And second reason, he says that his advices will never be welcomed by the king, as the kings are only interested in the corrupt things, not the philosophical things. They are always interested in the wars and just acquiring land and money. So the kings will never pay any heed, any attention to his advices. So that is why he is saying that he never gives advices to the king. And one more point we have, that these kings, they don't want to learn things. This is also the problem with the kings. And who is giving these views? These views are given by Hythlodaeus to Sir Thomas More, and he says that kings do not want to learn. When someone becomes a king, he only wants to dictate the terms to the people, and he wants to govern only. He never wants to learn. So that is why there is no use of discussing the things with the kings. All the kings, ministers and courtiers are corrupt in England. This is the statement he is making. They are only after money and wars, and Hythlodaeus said that all these kings are the basis of all these things, whatever Hythlodaeus is saying, he has experienced both the lands. He has experienced England as well as the land of Utopia. So that is why he says that whatever he has got as a result, that what is the means, as whether there is any advantage or benefits of giving advices to the king, is there anything? So he has concluded all these things by having experience in the ideal land, that is Utopia. And of course he has seen the England, or the English practices, the kings and their rules. So that is why he is making this statement. Hythlodaeus recalled one incident, that one day one day he was dining with Cardinal John Morton in England, so maybe someone in power, an archbishop in Canterbury. And John Morton is the archbishop. You can take him as a man in authority, like a pope, or okay, so it's a bishop. So somewhere, I think this is a lower post to the pope, and so Bishop of Canterbury, and they were executing thieves by hanging. So the John Morton, that person, he was giving commands that thieves should be executed. And he raises a question. Hythlodaeus raises a question that whether it is okay to execute the thieves, because making theft is not such a big crime that one should be taken off, or the life of any person should be taken off. So this is not a good thing at all. Then Hythlodaeus at that dinner tells Bishop that the lawyer, uh, there was one lawyer as well, so there was a bishop and the lawyer as well, that theft is not such a crime, and such people must not have a choice to steal. So he's making an argument that why people are making theft. If someone is a thief, why? He may be, possibility is that he may be so because of not by his choice but by the compulsion, that he has to earn his bread and butter, and the system and the society has failed to provide him any suitable job or profession. He is not getting anything to earn his living, so that is why someone becomes a thief. So this is the point he makes, that the government must assure that everyone should get a proper job or work to earn his living, and so that he must not have to do any crime to make his living. So this is what point Hythlodaeus makes, that ideal state should provide uh, jobs or work to everyone, because someone is getting into these acts of theft and these things only by the compulsion, not by the choice. And according to Hythlodaeus, thieves are the veteran, disabled persons, poor people, or victim of the society, or victim of some of the enclosed lands. So means all these people are, whoever they are, means the people whoever are doing these crimes, they are just helpless people. He also said that the poor, education is also the root cause of these things. So all good things you are seeing from the views of Hythlodaeus, that education is not given to such people. That is why they are doing those crimes. So he says that one should be properly given education in his childhood, and then he may get his jobs or work in the adulthood. And he says one more thing, that if punishment is given for theft, then and murder, if someone is committing a murder and someone is committing a theft, so both two different crimes, if the king is giving equal punishment of death to both, in both cases, then whoever is making theft, he will also kill the person who, from he is making theft, because he would think that he will not, if he had to get the same punishment, the punishment for murder and for the theft is the same, he would also go for the murder as well, because he would not let any witness to survive. So that is why Hythlodaeus says that there should be a difference, and at least punishment must not be given, or very less punishment should be given in case of someone is making theft. And with these talks, we see that Sir Thomas More gets convinced, and then Sir Thomas More tries to give his views as well, that he would find a good job for Hythlodaeus in the royal court. So now he says that he would provide him a job in the royal court, and then later means Hythlodaeus reacts that he sees himself in the tradition of Plato. So this is a point to be noted, that may be asked in the question, that Hythlodaeus sees himself in the tradition of, means how Plato was thinking himself. The same way Hythlodaeus is thinking himself as a philosopher to the society. And then a few points more we have about book 1, and these are: the kings should be philosopher and philosopher should be king. So however you can take this statement, that as the same views, Plato has also given this view that one should be of philosophical views must be there in the king. So a king should have philosophical views, and but he also same time admit that the kings are born corrupt, because most of the kings see that being a king is their divine right. They do not have any philosophical views. They are just thinking that being a king is their divine right. Hythlodaeus again rejects the idea of becoming a counselor to the king, as Sir Thomas More promised him or tried to convince him that he will assure him a job in the royal court. Then Hythlodaeus says that he would not want to uh, be any advisor or counselor to the king. Sir Thomas More praises him for his great counseling skills and his wisdom. So appreciation is there for Hythlodaeus. Hythlodaeus says that kings and their ministers are only looking to fill up their treasury and ruling. So all these things we have already discussed, that kings are just going for the land and money and corrupt things. They are never going to listen anything for the sake of wisdom. So one more point, this maybe have any reference to the previous year questions. Plato's Republic sorry, Plato's Republic gives the same message as Thomas More is saying, that there should be no private property. Everything should be has to be common. So Plato are expressing, or Plato has expressed the same views whatever are given by Sir Thomas More. Eventually, whatever the views are given by Hythlodaeus are the views of the writer Sir Thomas More. So their views are quite the same. So we can see them in the same tradition. And Sir Thomas More has also talked about the problems of the contemporary England, means all the problems related to the religion, the conflict of the Protestant and Catholicism, and also about the corruption prevailing in the royal court and also in the social life. So that's it about the book first of the Utopia, and I think this lesson is getting too long. So in the next lesson, we shall be discussing the second part of this work, Utopia. In book second, we shall be discussing about the structure, how means that ideal society is existing in the place Utopia. So thanks for watching this lesson. Have a nice day, and we shall meet in the next lesson pretty soon. Thanks a lot.